Welcome back, subscribers, and welcome new viewers. And I want to thank each and every one of you who have subscribed, who like, and who share my videos, because that helps to my whole channel to circulate out to more and more individuals just like you who are needing this information. So thank you. And I want to put out a special thanks to Pauline, who, thanks to her question, I'm reading this Pluto in aspect to Mercury today. And it's from my Pluto book. It's volume 1, Pluto, the Evolutionary Journey of the Soul. And this is by Jeffrey Wolf Green. All right. Okay. So again, this is Pluto in aspect to Mercury, which means aspect means the hard aspects are conjunct, opposition, and square. And then the easy aspects are trine and sextile. Okay. In general, Pluto-Mercury contacts have promoted necessary intellectual confrontations with others so that rigid and fixed ideas could be reformulated, transformed, and expanded. Individuals with this aspect have linked much of their emotional security and stability to their ability and need to intellectually organize reality in a way that reflects their ultimate beliefs and values. Because emotional security is connected to an intense power of intellectual organization, these people tend to defensively and compulsively maintain their ideas. To change an idea, to consider something in a different way, is to risk emotional insecurity and a sense of powerlessness. The evolutionary need has been and is for confrontation. Anything that is relatively fixed will stagnate and prevent further growth. Confrontation forces these individuals to rethink or re-examine their most cherished opinions, whether they want to or not. Commonly, these individuals have intense powers of mental concentration. This ability allows them to penetrate to the bottom line of anything they turn their mental gaze upon. By analyzing and focusing upon the bottom lines, they can determine the inherent structure, the essence of what they are examining. Yet the interpretation of that which is being examined will always reflect the individual's pre-existing beliefs. This belief system creates a filter. That which is being examined, studied, or analyzed will be rejected if it does not in some way reflect the individual already thinks. Let me say that sentence again. Sorry about that. That which is being examined, studied, or analyzed will be rejected if it does not in some way reflect what the individual already thinks is true or false. In other words, the individual will not allow the information to penetrate. To do so would be to challenge pre-existing beliefs and undermine the sense of security which is bound by the individual's opinions and ideas as to the nature of things. On the other hand, If the individual desires to learn more, and if the experience also supports pre-existing beliefs in some way, then he or she will methodically and thoroughly take in that information. It will become his or her knowledge through the osmosis effect of Pluto. Well, that's very, very, very cool. It is very important to examine the actual nature and condition of Mercury itself. What house and sign is it in? What kind of aspect exists between Mercury and Pluto? Mercury by nature is curious about everything. Mercury wants to experience intellectually many things, and it wants to communicate its knowledge to others. It wants to enter into intellectual discourse with others. Mercury wants to learn, and it wants to organize intellectually that which is experiencing in a logical way to make connections. Two very extreme effects can occur when Pluto aspects Mercury. On the one hand, the individual may totally preclude intellectually experiencing anything new that does not reflect what he or she already feels to be worthy or useful to pre-existing interests in life. This extreme would promote a narrowness of intellectual focus. With respect to communication, the individual would not communicate to anyone unless there was a reason or purpose to do so. There would be no unnecessary communication or idle chit-chat. And when this individual did communicate, it would be to the point, no mincing of words. The tone of communication would be emotionally powerful, almost hypnotic in effect, as the strength of the soul would be reflected in the individual's intellectual convictions and opinions. On the other hand, the individual would be intellectually open to everything. Intense mental curiosity would drive the person ever onward in a search for knowledge. This type would feel compulsively drawn to communicate with everyone, to study everything in the quest for information and knowledge. Whatever the individual believed in or had an opinion about would be powerfully communicated with emotional intensity and conviction. Between these two extremes, of course, are many shades or combinations of expression. So it is important not only to understand the total nature of the individual, but more specifically, the condition of Mercury by house and sign locality, planetary aspects, and the type of aspect to Pluto. For example, I won't go into the example. I'm going to fast forward that. We don't need to do that since this is a general. If you would like the specific, send me a comment or an email and let me know, and I can send you a written copy. With the open type of individual, the confrontations will occur with respect to their inability to commit themselves to any specific point of view beyond a certain duration in time. Hold on, just one moment here. I want to make sure I don't skip too far ahead. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and read the specifics because I think I will cut out too much. This is, I believe, is essential. So bear with me here. I apologize. Okay. So it is important not only to understand the total nature of the individual, but more specifically the condition of Mercury by house and sign locality, planetary aspects, and the type of aspect to Pluto. For example, Mercury in Libra in the third house, sextile Pluto in the first house, would incline the individual to be the, quote, open type. Conversely, Mercury in Taurus in the eighth house, square Pluto in the fifth house, would produce a closed type who is destined to experience two types of confrontation. One, they will experience external confrontations with other individuals that test, challenge, or question their intellectual organization and opinions. The narrowness and subjectivity of their specific mental focus is the basic problem. The problem is one of limitation that promotes black and white points of view. Every experience that the individual encounters will be forced into these black and white categories. The particular point of view that the individual holds is not necessarily wrong, yet it is limited. From an evolutionary point of view, confrontations must occur. The effect is to produce a crack or opening in the rigid intellectual categories. New information can then come in to reform or expand the intellectual information base, which in turn can create new perspectives. The resistance in these individuals to these confrontations can be quite intense because their emotional stability and security is at stake. This resistance can create the subconscious effect of the person not listening to others and repelling even the most convincing argument delivered by another. This resistance usually occurs at the time of the confrontation. After the fact, the individual may reflect upon what has happened and in his or her own time may choose to consider or incorporate some new information or point of view into the intellectual database. This will occur if the individual can perceive the usefulness or legitimacy of doing so. When these individuals repel another's point of view in order to defend their own, they will focus on the weakest possible link in any argument or intellectual system of organization and use that weak link as the basis of their rejection. 2. The black and white intellectual system can also implode from within. The person will cyclically experience times in which his or her way of intellectually understanding him or herself, others, and life does not work. Loss of perspective occurs. In these cycles of intellectual implosion, the person will desperately reach out for new information or ideas that can create or lead to a new perspective for understanding the basis or nature of whatever problem is at hand that created the necessity of this implosion. With the open type of individual, the confrontations will occur with respect to their inability to commit themselves to any specific point of view beyond a certain duration in time. Becoming lost to their own internal revolving door of mental perspectives, these individuals can see the relevancy or legitimacy of all points of view. This situation promotes a mental crisis because the evolutionary need is to commit to a specific and particular system of knowledge that allows all other points of view to be referred and therefore emotionally and intellectually integrated into their total consciousness. The mental crisis produced through this evolutionary need creates a confrontation as to what system to commit to. Experiencing the power and intensity of so many others' points of view, reading parts of this book and that, taking this seminar and that class, only compounds the problem. Loss of perspective occurs as the individual desperately races back and forth from one idea to another in order to explain the nature of the problem, or engaging in a conversation, the individual will compulsively take the other side of any argument or exchange in order to prove the usefulness of another point of view. What to believe, what to think, and how to think about it become major dilemmas. The evolutionary solution in this situation is to choose any system with which the individual naturally resonates on an emotional level. Let me say that one more time. That's a very, very important sentence. The evolutionary solution in this situation is to choose any system with which the individual naturally resonates on an emotional level. By choosing one system, clarity of thought and perspective will follow, which in turn will promote greater emotional stability and security. The challenge, however, is not to defend this system as the only right way, as that attitude would create a closed type of individual. The challenge is simply to commit to and absorb one system and to use it to generate an intellectual and emotional cohesion. The person now should adopt the attitude that their own system works for them and other systems or points of view are fine for other people. Rather than defending or arguing, the person can now use his or her own intellectual power base as a foundation for sharing ideas. This inner foundation would now allow for development of a healthy and valid discrimination so that the individual does not fall prey to every passing intellectual statement or idea that piques the curiosity. In almost all cases with Pluto in aspect to Mercury, there has been and will be a mental need to explore, experience, or investigate areas of life that are considered taboo by society or the parental environment. I'm going to say that sentence one more time. That is essential. Wow. In almost all cases with Pluto in aspect to Mercury, there has been and will be a mental need to explore, experience, or investigate areas of life that are considered taboo by society or the parental environment. There you go. That is justification. There is no such thing as sin. Wow. I love astrology. True, true astrology. No blame, no guilt, no shame, no shame. These individuals reason that the taboo may give a piece of knowledge or information necessary in order to understand the mysteries of life. Taboos, again, imply limitations. The evolutionary need is to grow beyond that which promotes limitations. How beautiful. And for those of you that don't already know, I always, in every video in the drop down box below of this video and all of my videos, or most of my videos, I should say, my very beginning videos I didn't do this with, but most of my videos, and from now on, I also leave my natal information for any of you who would like to check out my natal wheel. And I can tell you that I have this same placement, and it's in a hard aspect. It's in opposition. My Mercury is in the 12th house in Aries, and my Pluto opposes that in Virgo in the 6th house. Okay. And that is all I have. That is the end. And I hope this was helpful for each and every one of you. And if any of you would like a written copy, or you have any questions you'd like me some information on, I would be happy to assist whatever you need. That's what I'm here for. Okay. Until next time.